It's here. So I've been really into Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared lately. I was originally introduced to it by Film Theory, and I thought it sounded interesting, so I decided to watch it. I thought the series was super cool and was really excited when I heard it was being produced as a full TV show. I thought I was going to have to wait for a lot longer because it was only airing in the UK, but the whole thing has been uploaded to YouTube if you want to watch it. My stepbrother is also into the series, and we watched all 6 episodes in one sitting. We didn't go to bed till midnight. I usually don't have the motivation to talk at full length about things like this, especially right when they come out. Hell, I haven't even made a full Owl House video on my channel yet, but I literally started writing this script like the day after I watched it. I actually would have started the script the night that I'd watched it if it hadn't been so damn late. Plus, I needed to think about happy things before I went to sleep. And hey, maybe the YouTube algorithm will actually be on my side for once since I'm talking about something that's new and popular. But I'm getting off track. I just really want to talk about the series because I think it's cool. Originally, I was going to go into a lot of detail in this video and explain every episode and stuff, but I decided against it because, one, I did not have the motivation to write all that into the script, and also, it would take literal hours to explain everything that happens in every single episode, including Easter eggs, callbacks, and all that fun stuff. So, if you really want to know what's going on in the video, just watch the show. The whole thing's on YouTube if you're not British, and really no explanation could really do justice to the actual experience of watching it. So, I'm just going to talk about my overall theory for what's going on, and kind of talk about things that I like and a couple of overall criticisms I have for it. And I'm going to do this all under the assumption that you've already watched the show. And one more thing before I start, you've probably noticed that I'm talking over a speed paint rather than my usual avatar format, and that's because this will be a bit of a longer video, and it would be a nightmare to edit. So I figure I'll get my theory out of the way first. I haven't really seen that many theory videos on Season 2 because it's so new. So this is kind of just what I've absorbed from the show, and I only have a few other small theories to guide me, so this will be really fun. So here's my idea. Our 3 main characters are trapped in some sort of hell or prison created by Leslie, who is the weird creepy lady from the last episode. Whether this is literal or figurative, I'm not quite sure, but I lean on the side of literal. Now, why they're here is a tricky question, but I personally believe it has to do with one of the most commonly accepted theories from the web series. I call this theory the television theory. It might have another name, but that's what I call it. There are a few different versions of it, but the one I believe is the one that states that many of the things that are shown are actually happening and being aired as a kids' show, which has been impacted by the people who want to make money. And I think something a bit similar is happening here. I'm not sure if the web series is canon to the TV show, but I don't think it is. And that seems to be the general idea for the rest of the fandom as well. My reasoning for this is that while there are many references and callbacks to the series, the events and characters don't really line up, so I've made my theory under that assumption. I think that whatever nightmare or hell these characters are trapped in is being aired as a children's TV show, which sounds identical to the theory for the web series, but let me explain. I don't think that the characters are aware this is a show and have been brainwashed into thinking that this is just how things are. But every once in a while, one of them suspects that something is wrong and tries to escape, but it never works and they always end up right back where they started. I think this is why the characters are being so mean to each other throughout the series. They're stressed out and afraid. I also think this is what the ending means. There's a lot of debate about whether all these are happening in chronological order, and I'm not really sure if they are, but the last episode is clearly very important. Yellow Guy sees this house with his friends and this lady Leslie controlling everything, but everything is falling apart because the characters, and I'm guessing the audience, can see how horrible and backwards everything is. And they try to escape, but no matter what they do or where they go, everything is corrupt and they can't do anything about it. so they just go back to their reality and deal with it. I think the commentary of the show is also very similar to this in the real world. None of us are actually trapped in a corrupt television show, or at least I don't think. 2020 made me think otherwise. But we live in an era where so many genuinely good and wholesome shows are changed and corrupted by companies who only care about fame and money. And I know that sounds like the kind of thing you would see on I'm 14 and This Is Deep, but it's pretty true. Many creative people, including myself, are very frustrated because it's so hard to find a platform to tell our true and authentic stories. This is why projects like Creative Outlet are so important to me. I want myself and other creators to have that platform. And I'm really glad that the creators of Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared were able to find a channel to help produce their bizarre show, even if it's only available in the UK. I can also see this as a commentary on how children are taught in general, because, everyone seems to have an agenda and don't always tell just hard facts, which is very true for not only media, but also schools and, hell, even parents. Another very common theory I see for both this and the web series that I wholeheartedly agree with is that the characters are autistic or neurodivergent in some way. I wholeheartedly agree with this theory because the characters have a lot of symptoms of autism. I am neurodivergent myself, and I see a lot of myself in these characters, which is really interesting and cool because there's not really a lot of actually good neurodivergent representation in media. I also think that this can play into the commentary of the show, in which, neurodivergent people often learn very differently from other people and question a lot of the things that they're taught. And a lot of people who are neurodivergent have this experience when they're being taught things, especially in, school environments, that there are things that are wrong that they're doing or that there's something wrong with them, and there's, right and wrong ways to be creative or work and that kind of thing, and I see a lot of that in Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, both the web series and the television show. And I suppose that there is one other theory that I need to address. The Red Guy X Duck ship. I don't know if it has a name, but I actually kind of like this ship. I think it's fun. I think it has some good, evidence behind it. And I think it's just fun. The only problem I can really see with it is that there does seem to be a bit of an age gap between Red and Duck, but it doesn't really bug me that much because it doesn't seem to be too much of an age gap, and they're both portrayed as adults. So overall, fun ship. In my mind, Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared has 5 core elements: horror, music, comedy, commentary, and character drama. And the new TV show succeeds on all of these levels. The show is really disturbing, but in a fun and interesting way. A lot of people don't like the show because it's so disturbing, but in my opinion, good horror has a meaning, and is very much psychological, with gore to enhance the psychological horror. And poor horror is just scary for the sake of being scary, and doesn't really leave you with anything to think about. I'll honestly probably make a whole video on, good versus bad horror, at least in my opinion, at some point, but that's my general idea. As far as surface level scariness goes, Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared takes advantage of common phobias such as bugs, gore, small spaces, and needles to make it scary. But it also has a lot of psychological horror, with the cult-like workplace, not being safe in your own mind, and my personal favorite, fruitlessly trying to escape a nightmare. Something really creative and interesting the show does is take the status quo's God trope, which is a trope that I hate with every cell of my being, and makes it into a really interesting horror concept. Every single episode, one of the characters tries to escape, or at least change the absolute hell that they're trapped in, but every single time they end up back in that damn house, because the status quo is God. I don't really have any criticisms for the horror of the show overall, so let's move on to the music. The music in the TV show is quite different from the web series, but I really like it. We do have our classic teacher songs, which, like usual, are confusing and completely backwards, but we also have songs sung by our characters, which are some of my favorite in the series. If I had to criticize the music in the series, I'd probably say that they don't really stand out as much as they did in the web series. They're still really good, but they don't get stuck in your head as easily. but that might just be a product of them being a smaller part of the series as a whole, and the fact that I've watched the web series over and over and over and over again. And one other criticism I have of the music is that most of the time, the wacky, zany voices of our characters don't really affect how good the music is, but I think that it did affect the song quality in both the Family song and the Transport song, but it worked in pretty much every other one. As far as comedy goes, I think that it was really good. Definitely way better than the web series. There are a lot more jokes, and most of them landed pretty well. The commentary was also really great, not just on the nature of modern television, but also on the individual subjects that each episode covered, like workplace environments, death, family, and electricity. And more importantly, how they are explained to children by media, teachers, and even caregivers in a very specific way. As far as character drama and development goes, again, generally very good and well done. I'm literally having trouble criticizing the show, and something about that scares me. The characters in the show were a big step up from the web series, and the actual interactions between the characters and learning more about them as both individuals and a unit was really good. They all got a lot more personality, especially Red Guy. In the web series, most of their interactions were with the toxic teachers, and although we still have that, they interact with each other a lot more and have some really fun dynamics. As far as other things I noticed about the show, each of the puppets on the sets got really great quality upgrades, but didn't really lose the homemade feel. If I could criticize anything about the series as a whole, I thought the pacing was just a bit off, especially in the first few episodes. But other than that, the TV show is really good, almost to a disturbing level, especially considering the huge leap from YouTube to TV. There's so much more I wanted to say about each individual episode, but those are going to get their own videos because I can't write scripts that long. And also I'll have an excuse to make more fan art. So yeah, that's pretty much all for now. Bye!